Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with beef medallions with fresh horseradish cream. That's right, this quick and easy dish is dedicated to that little mini season between summer and fall. I call it Fallmer. Used to call it Summerall, but that got confusing. But anyway, it's a time of year where I crave hearty, comforting dishes that are still fairly light and simple to make. And that's exactly what we have here. So we're going to start from the bottom with a beautiful fresh cherry tomato salad. So we're going to cut up some cherry tomatoes. And I'm calling this a salad. It could be a relish. It could be a salsa. Could be a couple other things. There's got to be a French term for this. But anyway, despite not knowing exactly what to call it, I do know what's in it. So we're going to quarter some cherry tomatoes. Generally, I would cut them in half, but I do want to get as much juice as possible for this. And once those are cut, we're going to throw them in a bowl. And to that, we're going to add some freshly ground black pepper, a good amount of salt, and also a pinch of sugar, which is going to sweeten things up a little bit, but it's also, along with the salt, going to help draw out those juices. And we'll also put in a little splash of rice wine vinegar. And then all we're going to do is mix that up and let that sit at room temperature for about 15 minutes, which should be approximately how long it takes you to get the rest of the dish together. All right, next up, we're going to make our fresh horseradish cream, which will be featuring this fresh horseradish root. Yes, they sell that in regular grocery stores. You just never look for it. It's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some fresh horseradish root, we're going to give it a little peel, and then we're going to take our microplane and we're simply going to grate it in to some creme fraiche. And while I will guess and give you a measurement, this is totally to taste. You're going to grate it in, taste it, and if you want some more, you're going to grate some more in. So go ahead and grate that in. I was fairly generous. And you may be surprised to find out the fresh horseradish isn't really that hot. It does have that beautiful fresh horseradish flavor, and it does kind of get you up in the sinuses a little bit, but it's not like super hot spicy. All right, so we're going to grate in and mix in our fresh horseradish into our creme fraiche. I'm also going to give it a little pinch of salt. Of course, like everything here, that's to taste. And yes, this is one of those rare occasions where you can substitute sour cream for the creme fraiche. Although why you'd want to, I don't know, but you can. And once that's mixed, let's go ahead and throw that in the fridge until we're ready to use. All right, so the bottom of our dish is done. The top of our dish is done. And now for the beefy middle part. So here I have a couple what looks like filet mignon, but they're not. It's top sirloin cut to look like filet mignon. Do not let the facial hair fool you. Those butchers are tricky. So make sure you read the label. This is top sirloin, not quite as tender as filet mignon, but it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is slice these in half and pound them out a little bit, and they're going to be absolutely perfect for this. And besides saving a couple dollars, this top sirloin is actually going to be a little more flavorful. So like I said, I'm going to cut these and then give them a little pounding. I'm just going to do 2 portions here. And we don't want to pound these too thin. We're not doing minute steaks. These are going to be closer to like 2-minute steaks, okay? So I'm going to pound mine to about 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. And then once those are pounded, we're going to season those generously. When do we not season generously? Never. So we're going to season those up with some freshly ground black pepper, some salt, of course. I'm also going to warm it up a little bit with some cayenne. And of course, we're doing that to both sides. Only a psychopath only seasons one side of meat. And then once that's seasoned up, we're going to dredge it in flour. Only we're not going to dredge and dirty another pan or plate. Our cutting board's already dirty, so we're going to sprinkle the flour right on here. Just sprinkle it over, pat it in, pat it on, pat it around. And once that side's done, flip it over, flour the other side. And then what I like to do is just let those sit on the board for 10 minutes. I think they just fry up better and that flour kind of adheres. But if you totally got the munchies, go ahead and start cooking. But if you can wait a couple minutes, do. And at that point, we are ready to cook these, and it's going to be quick. So we're going to put a heavy bottom skillet on medium-high heat with a little bit of vegetable oil. We're going to make sure it gets really hot. We kind of want to see that first tiny wisp of smoke. And you've heard me say this before, but don't be a stubborn chef. I started to put this in, and it just didn't seem hot enough. It didn't sizzle like I wanted. So I changed my mind. I waited another minute, and then I put it in. So wait until it's hot. Then we're going to pop it in, and we're going to sear it for about 2 minutes per side. And if the pan was hot, you should get a nice brown crust form on there. And forget about time. How you know these are ready to turn, you're going to see moisture start to accumulate on the surface, and that's generally a great sign to flip them over. So right there, we're going to give these a flip, and we'll brown the other side for 2 minutes, at which point we're going to remove those to a plate to rest for just a couple minutes, because we have one more optional but critical step. I want you to pour off the excess oil and just put a little splash of water into the pan, put it back over the heat, and deglaze the bottom to release all those amazing caramelized meat juices. And once that's reduced for about 30 seconds, we're going to pour that into our tomatoes, and it's going to make an already delicious thing even more so. So pour that in, mix it around. Don't worry, it's not going to be enough heat to cook anything, but it will bring out the sweetness of the tomatoes even more. Okay, and once we mix in all those pan juices, we're going to go ahead and spoon our tomato mixture into some shallow bowls. We're going to top it with those beautifully browned beef medallions. We're going to put over a spoon of that horseradish cream, which will provide both physical and visual contrast. That's right, 2 kinds of contrast. And then to garnish, we're going to take a little more of that fresh horseradish, do one more shaving over the top. What does that remind you of? Yes, the coming snowstorms. And then last but not least, we'll finish with a little bit of fresh chive. And that, my friends, was a gorgeous and incredibly delicious, easy, just-turned fall dish. All right, we have that beautifully seared, tender beef, kind of sandwiched in between that juicy sweet of the tomatoes and that creamy heat of the horseradish sauce. And I don't have to tell you, if something's sandwiched in between juicy sweet and creamy heat, it's going to be good. And this was. Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering, I'm not using some kind of special soft focus, blurred edge lens filter. That was actually a greasy thumbprint. I felt like I had to say something. So like I said, look around your produce section. You will find some fresh horseradish somewhere. Such a cool ingredient. I just love the stuff. Although since we're talking about the roots, I should say I love the stuff. But anyway, I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.